Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to a very special Thanksgiving Day edition of The Naked Historian. My name is Michael Albrecht, and it's very good to be with you again. Today, of course, is the holiday. It is Thanksgiving 2009. I certainly hope that each and every one of you had a blessed year and you're enjoying today, celebrating with your family and loved ones. Unfortunately, this is the first time in 23 years that I'm not going to be with my wife on Thanksgiving. She and the children have traveled up to Pennsylvania to spend the next few days with family and relatives. Unfortunately, I just started a brand new job with the U.S. Marshal Service and don't have the ability to take vacation. So I am a bachelor for a number of days, although my wife was kind enough to cook me a delicious turkey dinner that will be enjoyed this evening. Now, what does a naked historian do whenever he's home all by himself on a national holiday? Well, he travels to a Civil War battlefield. And today I decided to finally keep a promise that I have teased you guys in the past and take you to one of my very favorite areas on the Chancellorsville battlefield, the area of Catherine's Furnace. It is not the wonderful turning of the leaves that I promised you a few weeks ago. Actually, pretty much winter came over the weekend, so it is a little bit dreary today. It's a little bit foggy and a little bit cold, so it's not going to be quite as pretty of a setting, but the story and the history is going to be interesting just the same. So what I'm going to do right now is get out of the Stonewall Jeep, and we are going to get up and we are going to take a walk over to here to what is Catherine's Furnace. And this is all that remains of this particular, I guess, foundry, whatever it really was. Basically, these are the ruins of Catherine Furnace, which the Confederate Army had used up until 1864 to aid in the manufacture of much-needed weaponry. The night before the Battle of Chancellorsville, General Lee and Jackson had decided to do a very daring plan. It is a gamble that Jackson could take the majority of Lee's present forces, slip away from their current lines, and move unseen to the Union right flank. In order to bring success to this plan of action, of course, Jackson would need to do so without the Federals attacking him and crushing the much smaller Southern force which remained with him and General Lee. So basically, this was going to be a covert operation, and this area here at Catherine's Furnace played an important part. It's not necessarily the most exciting part of the battlefield. There aren't cannons here or trenches or anything else, but it is an area that basically is where it all started. On May 2nd, 1863, Stonewall Jackson's corps began their flank march down this road, moving past what at the time was both this functioning ironworks and the left anchor of the small southern line. Jackson ordered the 23rd Georgia to guard the flank of the column in motion against a surprise and call, if necessary, upon any officer whose command was passing for reinforcements. Now, despite an attack by Union Brigadier General David Birney, the column proceeded along this march past this furnace, led by the son of Charles Welford, who was actually the furnace's owner. So their guide was a young man who was a member of the family that owned and operated this particular furnace area. These lines marched 4 men wide and wound its way through the woods for nearly 10 miles. Their objective, of course, was to attack the unsuspecting and unprotected Union 11th Corps, of course, under the command of the Christian general Oliver O. Howard, to the far right of the Union Army. Now, further on in the war, the Union cavalry came by, of course, led by General George Armstrong Custer, and they destroyed this furnace in 1864, so it could no longer be used to help create weaponry for the Southern forces. So here's Catherine's Furnace. I'm going to do a 360 pan again and give you an idea of the area where this is located. There are some markers over here, in fact, that we're going to take a quick peek at. And then I'm going to take you guys actually down the road where Jackson made his flank march. This is a map that will give you just a general idea of the area. Catherine's Furnace, of course, is located down in this particular area. It says "You are here," of course. Jackson's famous topographer, Joe Hotchkiss, drew this map, and it gives you a general idea of what the wilderness looked like. Over here, there is another marker that gives you an idea of what Catherine's Furnace looked like when it was fully constructed. As you can see, there were a number of buildings. There was a coal house, a bridge house, a boarding house, of course, where the men that worked here would stay, the furnace stack, which, of course, is the piece that is still visible standing up there in the ruins. There was also a casting house down here in this particular area. and a blacksmith shop. And if you look over here, this is actually a detail from an iron pig that was produced at Catherine's furnace. You can see Catherine's is actually carved into the side of it. What this placard says is, the stone stack in front of you is all that remains of the Catherine furnace, built in 1837. Closed a decade later, the furnace was reborn to meet the Confederacy's wartime need for iron. Union cavalrymen under General George Armstrong Custer destroyed the furnace in 1864, but it was rebuilt and continued to produce iron for the Confederacy until 1865. Catherine Furnace was the last of the region's several major iron operations to close. During its years of operation, Catherine Furnace used many buildings and employed dozens of laborers. Workers cut and hauled wood, excavated iron ore and lime, operated the furnace, and hauled the finished iron to market. When not needed for furnace operations, workers cultivated land previously cleared of timber. So this was a very busy and important economical operation here in this particular area. This is a map of Jackson's Flank March. We're actually going to take a ride up the road here in a couple minutes for the second part of this particular series. It talks about how after 8 a.m. on May 2nd, Jackson's Corps marched down the hill behind us and past Catherine's furnace, bound for the Union Army's flank. When the Federals spotted Jackson's column, they assumed the Confederates were retreating and sent a division in pursuit. A sharp rearguard action here cost Jackson most of the 23rd Georgia Infantry, but the Union efforts did little to disrupt the march. The road Jackson used was much narrower than the one that we will see today. And I'm going to do a pan up here and to give you guys an idea of the road that we're about to travel on. This marker adds that by mid-afternoon, his column was strung out for nearly 10 miles. It took nearly 6 hours for it to pass a given point. When the head of Jackson's column reached the Orange Plank Road around 3 p.m., the rear of the column was still near Catherine's furnace. And here is a photograph of 3 men, Daniel, John, and Pleasant Chitwood, who all served as privates in the 23rd Georgia. Pleasant, on the right, died of disease in October of 1862. Daniel and John were captured at Chancellorsville, and they were exchanged and fought for the remainder of the war. What we're going to do now is we're going to take a ride over here, actually in the Stonewall Jeep, and we are going to proceed further down here, and I'm going to show you some of the sites that are available along this part of Jackson's Flank March, and I'll give you guys some additional information once we get up there.